Hello, winners, and welcome once again to the Wrong Button podcast, where we talk all things nerd, most things video games, and generally anything that tickles our fancy. I am joined today by the Legionnaire of Lifting, AutumnIvy.
Hello.
Hi, it's great to have you on the show. I appreciate it. I know that you had surgery, so I'm very excited that you took time out of your day to do this.
No, I appreciate the invitation. It's absolutely my pleasure.
That's fantastic. Now I found you through one day I was looking for, so I stopped dressing like everyone else at the gym and wearing like the rock stuff.
Yeah.
So I was looking for nerd workout wear, and I stumbled on Just Say and then
Mm-hmm.
stumbled on you,
Mm-hmm.
and fell in love with one just amazing workout ethic, physique, as far as like athletic abilities and prowess, cosplay. And then I started finding you on, like, you pulled up on Twitter, or not Twitter, and then Twitch and YouTube. So I gradually fell more and more in line with the Legion,
Yeah.
and started watching your content that way. Um, so where I want to start this is probably a little bit different for a lot of it, but your fitness journey.
Mm-hmm.
To start there, a lot of people start with a specific goal in mind: losing weight,
Mm-hmm.
getting healthy,
Yep.
Tough Mudder, Spartan Race, whatever,
Yep.
what have you. What was your fitness journey?
It's a lot, but I will do my best. Let me actually. There you go. Turn up my mic a little bit for you. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, I can.
So it's a bit of a complicated journey, to say the least. I had a lot going on throughout most of my life. I was doing like running and a few things like that when I was around 17 because I had some life stuff going on and I just felt like I needed to escape. But after that happened, things kind of fell apart around me and I got into kind of a really bad situation with myself, just mentally not doing well. I gained a bunch of weight. I think I was a little over 200 pounds, something like that. And I just kind of like existed that way for several years. I tried to get up and go to the gym. I quit. I tried to get up and, go for walks. I quit. Like it didn't matter what I did. And finally, I was actually in the middle of a divorce with my first husband. And, there's something to say about divorce. It's a position where you will never feel lower in regards to like self-worth than you do feeling like you failed another person, even if it wasn't actually your fault and it was amicable. Because there's a lot to play there. And when that happened, I was so down and out and depressed and so on. I was like, I just need to do something. And I kind of found this escape in going to the gym and trying to be healthier and find ways to navigate that through breathing and through, this concept of meditation, through literally picking up heavy stuff and putting it back down.
And I know that that's actually one of your stickers that you can get, is like, we train to fight gods or slay gods and
anxiety.
and
Yeah.
anxiety.
Yeah.
I think I sent that up to my wife and I was like, I think I need this sticker.
Yeah.
Because it's really good. I'm glad to hear that it was a way for escapism, because I know, kind of like you said, breathing when you go to the gym, it is a singular mindset, because you have to
Mm-hmm.
focus so much on what you're doing to, one, not hurt yourself, and two, actually get benefits out of it.
Very much
Um,
so. Yeah.
being as now that you are now that you have come past that point, have you noticed, do you have any like new milestones that you work towards, as far as like, I want to be able to bench a certain weight, squat a certain weight, anything like that?
I don't focus on maxes.
Okay.
I don't. It's like, do I like reaching a certain level where I go, yeah, you know what? I'm going to try to add like 150 pounds today. And then I do it and then I pick it up and then I'm like, cool, I can do that now. That's awesome. Like I do that. I don't actually have like a PR thing where I'm like an avid tracker of like, okay, I increased my weight by 20 pounds in 2 weeks. Like, I respect people who do that. I respect powerlifters. I think they're fucking fantastic. I have friends who are hardcore powerlifters that they're phenomenal and what they do is great. But I have a really firm belief in having accessible functional strength that is useful to me in my day-to-day life. I literally run like a ranch, a farm, whatever you want to call it. We have 7 horses and a lot of that is working these 1,200 pound animals almost daily. and being able to lift hay bales and bags of feed and take care of the chickens. And, like there's just a lot. It's a lot of physical activity. And ensuring that I can continue to do that in a healthy manner and not hurt myself in doing it is super important to me.
No, and but functional lifting, I feel for, I know myself, like I've recently gotten back into stretching because I was like, oh yeah, I can curl, I can,
Yeah.
curl 50s.
Yep.
And I tried to like roll over the other day and I was like, this is a little bit tighter than it used to be.
Hmm.
Um, so since you like the functional side, you found, and I remember like showing these to my wife where you started doing pull exercises is the best thing I want to call it.
Yeah, pole
Um,
fitness.
Pull fitness. Thank you. I was
Hmm.
like, I can't find the word for this.
No, it's
Um,
okay. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you mean pole dancing?" Like, I mean, technically, yeah, but damn.
I well, it's because to me it was one of those because you had one where you pretty much, and I remember the video because it reminded me of like Simone Biles when she did the video with her and her boyfriend, like
Hmm.
who can climb the top of a rope faster, and
Yeah,
she smoked him.
yeah.
Uh, where you picked yourself up and like hand over hand,
Hmm.
and then inverted yourself.
Yep.
How did you find? I'm sorry, you just said it. Pole exercises or
Pole
pole fitness.
fitness. Yep.
How did
Um,
you stumble across that?
so pole fitness was kind of an interesting thing because I actually had a friend of mine who had been going to classes down the road from an old workplace. Um, this coworker of mine had started going and had mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, that seems like it'd be a lot of fun. It would give me, kind of a different form of fitness to focus on, and just give me a little bit more flexibility in my routine, because that was one thing I was really not paying attention to. And I don't think people realize that the benefits of pole fitness being what it is not just being able to feel more confident in yourself. There's a sense of confidence, I think, as men and women both, that's gained in knowing that you can do these things with your body, which in any other given situation is damn near impossible. But also the acknowledgement of the sensuality and the strength that comes with both. Being able to invert and do they call them choppers. So when you do a shoulder mount and roll backwards and literally lift your entire body weight back and keep your legs open, spread on the pole, and then pick yourself up to mount the pole,
Mm-hmm.
like the amount of time it takes for a person of any size, of any age, to get to that, whether you are well versed in fitness or not, is on the same level. Like, you are on the same playing field. Another lifting friend of mine, has been doing pole for quite some time as well. And when they first started, they're a phenomenal lifter. Like, they do crazy amounts of weight for being, I believe they're about 5'2", but they literally do almost damn near triple their body weight half the time with a lot of the stuff they do. And they're amazing. But one of the very first times that this person had started, she struggled and she wasn't sure how to get her body right. And if anything, it was a lot harder for somebody who lifted because our muscles are more bunched, we're tighter. We don't have quite the flexibility that other people might. So discovering that journey in pole was definitely amazing, really.
No, I have to ask, did that, especially with like the Olympics having just passed like back to back years, did
Mm-hmm.
that turn you on more to like gymnastics or watching flow routines, uneven bars? Like, have you entertained anything else that's also more acrobatic, even like parkour, free running, um, in
I
finding that?
I love and adore the people who can do parkour. I did not mean to make that rhyme, but that was pretty fantastic. I think people who do parkour are fucking amazing. I don't know if I can cuss. I'm sorry, but
You're perfectly fine.
yeah, I don't. They're fucking phenomenal. Like, the shit that they do with their bodies in terms of calisthenics is amazing, and I admire them for it. I don't like heights, so no, I will not be scaling and jumping from buildings anytime soon. But in terms of like gymnastics, I've always, even when I was a kid, I was always in awe of a lot of the gymnastic abilities that, Olympians in particular have, especially I don't know what it's called, but the dancing gymnastics where they go and they do the tumbling performances.
Oh, the floor routines.
Yes, that. Okay, that's what that's called. Yes, that. Wow, just wow, so much wow. I wish I had the capacity to not throw up all over the place and do that many flips. Um, but I personally Would I try it? Absolutely. Have I ever been given the opportunity? Not quite. I am a combat sports person, so I'm better built for combat sports and lifting than I am for the actual like speed that comes with the speed and mobility that comes with something like gymnastics or parkour. Which is funny because I like pole fitness, but there's strength to pole fitness that I use to balance it out too.
And I know Facebook the other day, you actually were saying that you missed doing combat fitness. Do you
Mm-hmm.
have like I'm a huge fan of classic martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate mixed martial arts, but I
Yeah,
just enjoy classic.
yeah.
What do you gravitate towards?
So I actually started doing Taekwondo when I was in high school, and that was my original introduction to being able to do combat sports of my own choosing. Obviously, when you're a kid, parents force you into different boxes to try to figure out what you're good at because they always want to raise the next big sports star.
Mhm.
Because God forbid, my mother and my then stepfather, obviously very much not, and hasn't been for quite some time, but yeah, they were sports people. They did not like the fact that I was into theater and arts, and that was, a lot. But getting away from that, I think having interests in things and being able to, what am I trying to say here? I'm spinning in circles because I've got like 15 topics in one go. I'm so sorry.
No, I enjoy the conversation of it.
Um, I think being able to find balances in things is really important. And I didn't really get an opportunity to do the things that I liked to do as much as I would have. But then the problem is I was naturally fantastic at sports, but I didn't want to do any of the sports that I was kind of boxed into trying. And then I had the opportunity to start Taekwondo in high school, and I kind of fell in love with it because I was like, oh, I can hit things and it's okay. Like, it was a really good meditative challenge for me, especially because of the type of person that I was when I was younger. Um, and after that, I kind of like, I liked watching UFC. I liked watching Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I liked watching, various forms. I was not the greatest at Taekwondo because there was a lot more um, avoidance of direct combat than I would have wanted. And I was kind of looking for the challenge, I think. So
The Red Riot just go kind of like straight through.
a little bit,
Yep.
yeah.
I am the same way. I was I probably most people that I know have listened to this would have a similar story where it's like parents like try this sport, do this thing, and
Mm-hmm.
then as it grows, and I remember like combatives in the military,
Mm-hmm.
it was like if you don't get hit in the face, but they teach you like how to get hit in the face. So after that,
Yes.
eliminates that fear, and it's like nah, just straight on.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, doesn't
Yeah.
work all the time, but um, and now with doing pole fitness, with doing your home gym uh, as well as doing combative fitness, do you have a vibe that you go for your gym? Like I know like my gym, I don't go to like a commercial gym. I have a very fantastic local gym. You walk in there and you feel like you're walking into a Rocky gym.
Yeah.
And I love that feeling of like safety and how it is. How do you choose, or how did you choose like where you went to work out and found your place for that level of safety?
It was never about the safety for me.
Okay.
It was always about what I needed to do while I was there. And I noticed one thing a lot of people bring to my attention or ask me is like, well, how do you do that and not be self-conscious? Because I think one of the major issues that people face a lot of the time is, they want to get started in fitness, they want to go to the gym or any gym really. Or even swimming, like they want to go do an activity that's physical, and they don't feel like, they can have the confidence to step into a gym space and do that and do it with reasonable confidence without worrying that someone is watching them or judging them or, making fun of them. That was always a big one. Um, when I first started going, I just basically picked a gym that was nearby, that was affordable because I was on a budget, and I had to work with what I had. So, I threw my shirt on, I threw my workout pants on, I put my shoes on, and I went. And that was just kind of my balancing act of being like, okay, I know that these guys are watching me and they're probably making fun of me because I'm probably not doing this right. But at the end of the day, what I started to, I guess, I don't want to say trick because I didn't trick myself into thinking this, but I convinced myself through this style of thought was if you are spending more time watching me and what I'm doing in the gym, then your progress is what's suffering, not mine. I'm here, I'm working, I'm doing what I can do to try to be better every day. And you're the one sitting over on the other side on your phone, tip tapping away and recording me because you think that what I'm doing is stupid. But at the end of the day, who made progress here? You or me?
That is probably like the one of the best ways I've ever heard. Like, there's a saying for like people who go hiking, hike your own hike, lift your own
Yep.
weights, things like that.
Yep.
That's probably like the best way I'm ever going to hear that be said.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos for wording it in such a way, because like thinking back on my own, like yeah, very self-conscious at the gym,
Mm-hmm.
toxic masculinity
Hardcore.
aside, where it's like no, I'm not, I look over at the professional lifters or the
Mm-hmm.
guys that are in there, and I'm like, I do not look like that. I also don't
Mm-hmm.
eat to look like that some days.
Mm-mm.
So that is fantastic to have such a great outlook on it.
What I
um
love about those guys that you just mentioned, though, is like, especially even with women and men both who are quote unquote professional lifters or people who have very clearly been doing it a while,
mhm.
if you actually take the time to ask them something, 9 times out of 10, the true lifters, not that, because there's different kinds and you'll know the difference. But the true lifters will answer any questions you've got, and they will do it 100% wanting to help you and wanting to watch you progress and grow, because nothing makes a lot of us happier than seeing our peers or the people that, we've watched want it come in and actually do it. Like it's a phenomenal feeling. To clarify, I guess, your question too, I like small gyms. Right now I am using a very kind of a mom and pop gym. It's almost always empty when I go, and that's all I could ask for in a gym because I like to be left alone. Like I put my headphones on, I go, and like that's my yoga.
Now you do because you do over the ear headphones. I do like
Mm-hmm.
athletic earbuds.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna be a really weird one. How do those actually work for you? Like I know I get very warm and moist and damp.
Mm-hmm.
How does it work for you with over the ear ones?
So I've used both.
Okay.
Like I have my little AirPods. Yeah. My little in-ear headphones. The problem is like my ears have always been super sensitive. So if I use those too often, you get kind of the sweat and the gunky, and like it's gross, but it's true. Like you get gunky in your ear, right?
Yes.
Um, and unfortunately, that for me causes a severe ear blockage and can also result in pretty severe ear infections. So I choose to use over the ear headphones because that way I can give my ears a second to breathe and not feel like the inner ear canal is kind of suffocating. As far as the actual functionality of over ear, if you fit them correctly to your head and you pay attention to kind of what you're doing and how they're sitting on your head, or if you use like adhesive and make like a little like bind the top of your headphones so that they're a little bit tighter fit on the crown, they'll stick. Mine personally, like I run in mine, I jump in mine, I do sit-ups, I do all kinds of stuff. And the only thing I've ever really had trouble where they slip a little bit is when I'm doing like skull crushers and stuff. And it's because I literally have my head tilted back at an angle where it's hard for them not to slip.
No, fair enough. I've used like the Beats, the athletic ones that clip behind the ears, but
Yeah.
I get the sensitive, like my ears will get inflamed and stuff. So
Yeah.
um, I'm always curious about that.
Mm-hmm.
And now as we've gone from, when we talked about like going from like the self-conscious side of joining the gym,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I know you posted a picture the other day, and then you posted something else that said like, and the trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder dropped.
Yeah.
As more muscular, especially for people who project female or are female, and more muscular physiques
Mm-hmm.
start to become mainstream. We've got
Mm-hmm.
Mirko from My Hero Academia.
Yep.
Uh, have you noticed like a change um, towards you or towards whether social media, professionally, or just like at the gym, as characters like that, people start going mainstream? Like, hey, that is attractive in its own way, and it becomes more celebrated as time goes on.
I mean, I think it's pretty fantastic to have diverse bodies in media anyway. Like fitness and obviously buff women aside, I think it's important to have that diversity in terms of body types anyway. Cause I've been on all the spectrum as far as body types have been. I have been, you know, per doctor, I have been overweight. I was not healthy. I was drinking a lot more than I should have. And my mental health was not good. Like I was very much not in a good place. So I've been on that side of things. Then I overcorrected. And when I first started doing fitness, I actually was under eating severely because the coach who I had hired at the time was not intelligent in relation to his ability to discuss why I was eating as much as I was, which was approximately 1,300 to 1,400 calories, despite the fact that I was working out, 5 or 6 days a week for about 1.5 to 2 hours a day, which inherently caused me to kind of, I'm going to be straightforward. I wound up with an eating disorder because of it. And now every time I put anything in my mouth that tastes delicious, I immediately berate myself for about, the rest of the afternoon. Because it's a reactive thing of like, oh my God, I'm going to gain this weight back. When I was eating that way though, I had dropped down to like 145 pounds and I had not weighed that since literally like sixth grade. Because even in high school, I weighed about 150, 160 pounds. Like I've always been relatively well built. So now, I've put on more muscle. I've understood that eating is super important to my regimen and what I'm doing. And to keep myself healthy, I have to eat. So having been on all of those sections of body form, I think having people to look up to and to kind of be like, hey, like I like that character and I feel comfortable and confident that I see myself in them and the way that they look resonates. And this feels awesome to see myself in a way. Right.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the buff representation goes, I get asked to cosplay those characters like clockwork. It doesn't matter who they are, where they're from. If I've even acknowledged their existence, somebody is in my inbox asking me to do them solely because they're buff. And I will admit that does get on my nerves sometimes, 100%. I am a firm believer in cosplaying characters that resonate somehow. That's my personal, like what I like to do personally. If a character doesn't necessarily speak to me, then I don't really want to do them. So it can be kind of hard to navigate the media aspect of it when that is the desire of other people.
Is to do the characters that are like, oh, you would fit this bill rather than no,
right, solely because of the way they're built. Yeah.
Now because I've seen you've done Hawks, you've
Yeah.
done Geralt,
Yes.
you've done Poison Ivy.
Of course. Poison Ivy was actually, that's where my name Ivy comes from. Poison Ivy was a long-term love and one of my very first costumes that I decided to do. So, yep.
I'm sitting here like going through. I had them all like right here, and I know you also did. I think you did Mirko from
I
My
did.
Hero.
Yeah, she is a badass.
I have. It's like the first anime I got my wife to like watch, and she got super vested in.
Yes.
And then going to Demon Slayer. So
Nice.
I was really excited when she came in because I was like, oh, it was not even buff, but like a muscular representation.
Yep.
For a female character.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any characters that you want to cosplay that maybe are different from how someone would perceive you?
Ooh, like in general, like personality or body? Like what do you?
Let's start with personality, then we'll do body type.
So, okay, but I already have an answer for personality because I have been there's been a question of a doubt. One of my other first cosplays was Revy from Black Lagoon, and that's why I have her tattoo. Like I get shit on for having the tribal on my arm by people who don't realize it's actually like from something.
Mm-hmm.
But Revy has always had kind of this like nihilistic, very like just over everybody's bullshit. She's very quick to react. She's very brash. She's very violent. But there are aspects to her character that go a lot deeper than that, especially when you start to kind of progress through her story and learn and understand who she used to be, who she became, and why she became the person that she is now. But I get people who are very confused being who I am, as they see me and like being relatively upbeat and trying to push for the positive thing to do a character like Revy and want to do a character like Revy, with people not realizing like they don't know anything about me beyond what they know about me now. People don't know about my past. People don't know about what happened to me growing up, or any of that kind of thing. So it's always funny to me to see this kind of reactive, like, well, what's this for, and have that happen with that kind of character. In terms of bodies, I mean, obviously, like, I've cosplayed men and gender bent the men, so I feel like that's the most extreme example. um Go ahead.
I've seen because I know you did oh god, I totally just lost it. I know you did Dante from Devil May Cry.
Forever and always. That's my boy.
Why Dante?
Listen, look, all right, Dante. No, okay. Hold on. Yes, he's hot, but that's not the only reason.
Fair enough. It's the hair.
Dante legitimately saved my life when I was 12 and 13 years old, because like my first experience with Devil May Cry games was kind of on accident, and I had rented Devil May Cry as kind of like this, hey, I'll check this out because it looks kind of cool. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. I was going through a lot during that time. I was not okay, and I needed something to sink my teeth into to be somewhere else for a little while. And Devil May Cry was it. And seeing this character, especially Devil May Cry 3 Dante, because that was, I mean, technically we would have been similarly aged, because the whole point and the implication is like he's late teens, early 20s kind of deal. But I guess being able to connect to this character and like having this underlying brash attitude of like, I'm going to kick this jukebox and then we're going to get started. And he was always like crazy and wild. And, there was this party aspect to him that it was always funny to me. Like, it was funny to see this character perform and do these amazing things, but still be sarcastic out of it. But as you progress, you start to realize that he's actually just like gigantically depressed and has lost a lot of people that he's ever cared about in his entire life. And that's been really hard. And he literally copes by humor. So I attached to him because my coping method was very much humor. And I had never actually gotten to process that until that time period when I had picked up that game. So Dante is an extremely important character to me, and I've carried him through, just like, all the Devil May Cries have kind of progressed. I've carried him up to Devil May Cry 5 as he is now, and I have never felt closer to a character in my life than to be like, you know what, I'm just going to take a nap and wait this one out. I'll be here. Don't worry about it.
I fell in love with Nero. I'm also a huge Johnny Young Bosch mark. Like, I will sit there every time my wife and I watch, hey, that's Johnny Young Bosch, and she's like, I know you want to marry him, but I'm pretty sure he's married. And I'm like, well, I can hold out hope.
I vibe. Super nice guy. I completely understand.
Oh, incredibly nice. Every convention I've ever seen him at, he's been really nice. So Dante, Devil May Cry.
Yep.
So then the question there would be, when they did the DMC reboot for him, how did... Go ahead. How did that feel for you, especially like, this love for a character that is iconic and you can relate to so much, transferring to something like stark in comparison and how different they are?
Ninja Theory really blew the load on that one. So I don't see DMC as any direct correlation or understanding of Devil May Cry and any attachment or iteration whatsoever. And really it isn't. I know that their implication was like, this is a remake and this is how we're doing it. But like, I literally took it as that. And my brain goes, okay, this is not the same story. These are not the same characters with the same traumas and the same ideals. I don't necessarily like fully hate the game. I think that there was a lot of stuff where they tried really, really hard. Like, it was a try hard game. But I did like some aspects, like, the music was really cool. Like, I liked the Noisia tracks and stuff like that. And like Combi Christ had involvement. I did like a few of the gameplay elements. I did like a handful of the storyline stuff separated from the original iteration of what Devil May Cry was. But was it a great game? Fuck no. But I'm not someone who's going to shit on something that they gave it an honest go, especially when I got what I wanted out of it, which was Devil May Cry 4 and 5. So fuck it, whatever.
Yeah, Devil May Cry 4, 5, fantastic.
Yes. very
Oh
much
gosh,
so.
fantastic games. Um, so going back, I know you said you would cosplay. Men would be the or cosplaying as a male character would be the other extreme. Do you have a male character that you're like, you know what, this is one character that I just really want to like go ham and like cosplay this character?
Oh, you know, I so doing an actual male character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've done my as a non as an NB child. I have my style of makeup that I like to do for a character, a male character of my own who's an OC called Wolfhead. Um, but if I were to do the actual like full makeup and everything else and like actually go into the crossplay realm, Handsome Jack was always one that I wanted to do. Uh, he is just a terrible human being, but I always wanted to try it because the makeup was always so cool to me. Um, but for now, anymore, I'd probably just do Geralt again. Like, to be fair, I don't know. I'd have to think about that question.
I completely understand. And Handsome Jack, like it is because Revy from Black Lagoon, like you said, she's probably like my favorite episode of that was there's an episode I can't remember which episode it is. Pretty sure it was season 2, but
Mm-hmm.
she sees kids playing in the street
Yep.
and they're doing the kid thing where it's like pew pew and it's like, oh, you got me, and it's
Yes.
so dramatic, and then you
Mm-hmm.
watch her go, that's not what it looks like, and has like a PTSD moment, and she like
Yeah.
falls over to show death.
Yep.
um so going from, especially like seeing your legion very positive, push through, take care of yourself, to Handsome Jack, especially from the makeup standpoint. Have you
Mm-hmm.
ever done like a have you ever, I'm gonna ask the question, like cell shaded yourself to try makeup like that?
I did. I actually did some cell shading for Amara for Borderlands 3. And then even before that, I had actually done Femme Handsome Jack previously. So I've done a female version of Handsome Jack and I did the cell shading. It is a fascinating, like, I'm not the greatest at it, but I have seen some people who can cell shade like a motherfucker, and I commend them for their abilities because it is above and beyond me.
I can only imagine, just because I know like one uh layering all of that makeup, and then the contouring just has to be uh exceptional to do that.
It's
um
super intense. Yeah.
and now I guess the one of the other things to then ask would be, um considering cosplaying and uh cosplaying, is you actually you did, or you do partner with Just Saying Gear,
I do.
to do like you one rock all of their outfits.
Hmm.
How did you decide that, like, I take it you've worked with other sponsors. How do you, I guess, decide your sponsor? Like, not from like a business standpoint, but from like, you know what, I would put vested interest in this.
I don't really have sponsors.
Oh,
Just to clarify, like, I I know that there are influencers or like content creators or stuff that are like, yes, so Razer sponsors me, and like that's great for them. I'm happy for them. I personally don't really have sponsors per se. I have like ambassadorships,
okay.
which I know some people are going to be like, well, that's the same thing, Autumn. But like, to me, it's really not. Because I'm still paying for the product mostly. The only time I ever get kickbacks is if people use the code. And even then, like sometimes I'll get the bonus of like, hey, here's the bonus because you sold so much stuff and people really used your code and that was great. But like, it's kind of a discount because I still have to put into the product to get that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it's like this weird kind of person or like personal Ouroboros effect where it all comes back in the wash anyway. But I used to do some stuff for Courtney Olson with Girl Clothing, and I think my code is still active and stuff. And I love her company. I love her as a person. I love the fact that her company specifically drives people away from the concept of sizing using body measurement and more so represents them as people.
Hmm.
I've always thought that was a fantastic culture. Um, just saying though, I kind of slipped in because I really liked the style of the clothes. I liked, being able to like power up, I guess it's just going to sound funny, but like power myself up through being able to wear wear some of the merch for my favorite characters and kind of like get into that mindset of like, all right, I'm going to do this. Like if they can do it, I can do it. Like, let's kick some ass,
No, I completely. I had one of the old shirts where it said like at the gym training to go Super Saiyan,
Hell yeah.
and it was like people would be like, "Why do you go to the gym?" And I'd be like, "Well, in case a mech ever falls to the planet or
Yeah.
martial art fighting aliens, I want to try to stand a chance."
Yeah. See, you get it. I
Yeah,
understand.
that completely makes sense. And so now your ambassadorship to Just Saying
Mm-hmm.
makes sense because I did see the girl clothing one here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what I take it was it just like it was just the message as well as, hey, this fits my personality of why I get out of bed, why I do, and work out the way I do.
Yeah, a lot of it was, being able to, I guess, like give people some insight into who I was based on the character I was, the characters I was representing kind of, but also like channeling them. I just a lot of people a lot of people's first question with things is, well, questions or statements is, well, I wish I was as motivated as you, or well, how did you get so motivated? And the truth of the matter is I'm not fucking motivated at all. I barely want to get out of bed half the time. I'm sitting here having this conversation with you, thinking about all the things that I've got to do for chores outside and about how I need to go take my horse for a walk. And like, I don't want to go for a walk. I'll do it for my horse, but I don't want to do it. But at the end of the day, it was never about motivation, and it was always about the consistency of getting up and doing that. And if you have a person or a character, or something to drive you that says, "Hey, I'm going to do this because I know that they would have done this," or "I'm going to do this because I know that I can do this," and I see myself reaching this goal of this person because I can keep pushing and I can do better. And sometimes that's why I do the daily motivations. Sometimes having that little voice in the back of your head say, you know what, like I know shit sucks right now, but you are capable and you are amazing and you can do it. Even if it's just for a minute, you still got up and you still fucking did it. And that alone is an achievement. So Just Saying kind of followed through with that for me because I was able to do that with these characters and keep going.
God, feels like I'm talking to like a version of myself. It's so great. Like, yeah, that's why. Get out of bed, people. You can do it. It's gonna be a good day.
Exactly.
So going with that, 'cause I know you said you have to walk your horse. I know that you grew up with horses.
Mm-hmm.
Went for a period without them. Are we talking about walking Munin, the white one?
Boulder.
Boulder.
Yeah. Munin. It's
Munin.
technically it's Munin, but
Munin.
Munin to the I guess the here pond folk. But no, Balder actually is the one who is going for a walk. So Balder's still a stud, which means he is an intact male.
Okay.
And he may or may not stay that way depending on kind of training and the way that things work out, because there are some intact males that can't, they are very difficult to manage and handle. And if you don't have the right training and the right person to handle them and they are not trained properly, it can go very badly for everybody. So right now, part of his desensitization and part of his training is he's being worked as much as we can to try to, I guess, present him with potential uh-ohs now so that we can work through it and kind of negotiate it with him and say, okay, you were going to react like this, or you were going to go chase that mare because she's in heat. This is how we're going to handle that instead. And it's just really important to be cognizant of your animals. And that goes with dogs too. Dog people will absolutely understand. You don't want to take out, your dog who's never seen the outside world beyond your house and take them into a store without acknowledging that sometimes things can happen. So you want to take care of your dog, you want to take care of yourself, and you want to take care of the people around you. Same concept.
Got it. Socializing, doing
very much. Yep.
Because and can you say your white horse's name one more time? I'm sorry.
Munin. You can just say Munin. It's okay. Yeah.
Well, words matter. So Munin, I know he's a rescue, correct?
So Munin is not necessarily one of the rescues. He came from a situation where he was what we call like cowboyed on, which means at some point when he was younger and he was being broke, they missed a lot of the necessary training that would have made him properly cognizant of trusting people
Hmm.
and trusting people properly. From what handling we've done and what retraining we've had to do, we've kind of discovered not only does he have a tendency to impinge his nerves in his neck as a defense mechanism, because it, it took me a while to get this horse to trust me properly. When I first brought him home, he wanted to bolt at everything. He was panicky, he was anxious, and like it took quite some time for him to go, "Oh, okay, well you're my person now, but you're going to protect me, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I got you. I got your back always." And he's like, "Okay, well if you promise." So now from the ground, him and I are good. But I handed him off to my trainer, my friend of mine, who does horse training and who assists us with ours. And part of what we had figured out is that if you swing a rope anywhere near him whatsoever, he immediately goes into flight mode. Now, to anybody from the outside, they'd be like, well, yeah, if you were swinging a rope at my face, like, of course I'd panic. But this is a horse that would turn over backwards if he thought somebody was going to swing at him. And there's a difference between a safe position of desensitization and there was there was neglect or abuse in some capacity, right?
Hmm.
And it's starts to get pretty clear depending on certain actions that are made, because there are only certain things that will trigger this, and one of them is not trusting his rider as well. He panics. So I purchased him initially as the understanding of him being a performance horse that could kind of I could work with, and we could work him into doing barrel racing as part of his regimen, barring that was something he wanted to do. And I know that some people think that sounds wild, and I won't go too in depth in it because I know we've got limited time, but like I am a firm believer that your animals are very much capable of choosing to tell you when they don't want to do something or don't like doing something, and that includes a job. And for horses, that's super important. You may get a horse to be, I don't know, like a jumping horse, right? To like go over jumps and stuff.
Yep.
But they can't do it to save their life, and they let you know that by literally going, "Yeah, I'm good." And they like half-ass it, right? But then you take them out to a racetrack and they peel around the corners. So with Munen's case, it was a little different because he had a lot of body stuff going on that was not normal. We started to pick up that he had some impingements that should not have been there. He was very defensive of certain parts of his body. He's very defensive about his feet, which makes us wonder if he was not tied, which unfortunately can happen in, still in certain areas of the world. But he's doing much better. So
What is untied? I've been around horses. I had an aunt with horses. I had allergies as a kid, so I don't always get close to them because
it's okay. The correct word is hobbling.
okay.
But sometimes it's not done in the correct form that it needs to be done. And what people will do is literally rope their legs and pull them taut.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's just, he was not one of the like we got him from a kill barn situation horses, but very much he came from the girl that I purchased him from was very, very nice. I appreciated her, but she was very soft, and it was very clear that she had kind of been put in this position of overcorrection as an owner to baby him versus what she had gotten him from, which is the cowboying situation where he was not appropriately managed. Had he proceeded onward with someone who was not willing to put the time and the energy into a retrain, he very well could have been an extremely dangerous horse. It would not have surprised me if he had bowled somebody backwards, because he had no awareness, body awareness either, with a lot of situations, which can put the rider and the handler in pretty bad danger, and the horse too, depending on where you're at.
How did you come to get into like I almost want to call it like horse therapy, horse retraining, and because like I've seen dogs. I've worked with like a canine, off leash canine in our areas, like a really big prior service vet guys take care of dogs, and
Yeah.
same concept where they're like you talk and you know the dog. How did you get into it with equestrian or with horses?
I've my whole life. I mean, I grew up, with horses. I was on the back of a horse at 6 months old with my grandpa holding on to me. You know what I mean? Like I've lived and breathed horses for a very, very long time of my life. And unfortunately, life got in the way, shit happens, and you get separated from the thing that you loved. And it sucks and it hurts. some things happened in my life when I was 17, and I was brought back to it for a little while, which was something that I needed at that time. And, I realized how much I missed it. Um, I had some pretty negative shit come out of that as well because of one particular woman that I will forever resent my entire life. I don't think that's something I'll let go ever. But she taught me not to ever trust someone like that with that kind of a snaky personality.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was able to kind of recover and learn from it despite everything. Unfortunately, I lost access to horses again for a very long time. And then I grew up and I said, you know what? I'm going to do the things that I want to do, and I'm going to thrive, and I'm going to succeed. And this is how we're going to do this. So I worked my ass off for years. I did the corporate bullshit job that I had to do because it was required. I was an adult for quite some time. I saved up money. I busted my fucking ass. And then I bought a house that had horse property, and I started over, and I started doing the thing that I missed and I loved.
That's fantastic. Honestly, good for you. I know that corporate slog.
Yeah.
I just got out of it.
I'm so happy for you, sincerely.
Thank you.
Seriously.
People go like, yeah, I do the corporate slog, and I'm like, oh, we have that same like wavelength.
Yep.
So I guess now knowing that you've worked with horses,
Mm-hmm.
one, I'm gonna preface this like combat training,
Mm-hmm.
incredibly physically fit.
Yep.
What is your draw towards horror games and the horror genre?
I love how you double backed. Like, we had this like heartwarming, really heartfelt, like, yeah, I chased my dreams and I did it. And then you're like, yeah, by the way, why do you like violence and gore? What's your fucking problem?
Not even violence and gore, because you played the House of Ashes, the Until Dawn.
Yep, absolutely.
And you do the chiller readings and the voiceovers for that.
Yep.
And to quote Star Wars, you look like you're strong enough to pull the arms off a Gungar. So, I watched The Mummy when I was a kid, and I became terrified of insects and black scarabs, and I don't think I've still gotten over that. But I see someone like yourself, and it's like gore is fine. I can deal with like a slasher, but like horror things where I'm like, I feel like if Ghostface ever came up to you, you'd be like, look, dude, just go find someone else. You're worth your time.
No, you're absolutely correct. And I know, listen, I know that there's a lot of people out there in the world who are like, yeah, well, I could stand up to Ghostface, but like, the people who actually could, and the people who are like saying that because they want to be brave and like come off that as that guy. I will say this much. I have been through too much in my life, and kind of faced too much in my life to be afraid of a human being as like the worst thing imaginable. Like, I have come to terms with the fact that human beings do very evil things. There are terrible people who exist in the world, and that at the end of the day, we can only do so much to change the tides of what's going to happen regardless, especially when we least expect it. I think that horror is a representation of that expectation and the things that people are kind of afraid of, and the way that they handle it. And with Chilling App, for example, being able to bring those fears to life for people through actually hearing it, especially when it's like a first person narration, like I am the character. Mm-hmm. I work very hard to give them the level of horror that they would expect to hear listening to, like, watching a movie or something. I love horror. I grew up being shunned away from horror because, like, oh no, like, you can't see that. And like, somehow I always found my way into it anyway. I grew up with this monster that my mom's first husband used to call the Don Don. And it was like this javelina skulled monster that used to lurk in the hallways of his house, right? And they used to feed us terrible horror stories. I had cousins that locked me in a suitcase when I was young and like zipped it up and left me in there. Like, I've had some weird shit happen to me, so the least of my concerns is horror games. So my ability to laugh at them and kind of like work through them is me processing things while also kind of going, yeah, you know what, this shit could be worse. Especially like, what was it? House of Ashes, literally like ancient Mesopotamian alien vampires. Like, I can't get over that, and I'm still mad about it.
It was definitely a lot, especially coming off of like Until
Oh,
Dawn's.
bad, so bad.
I thought Until Dawn is probably like it. Oh, it was a one-time great playthrough.
Yeah.
And if you get other people to do it for the first time, I still think it's brilliant to do it with the other people. Um, when it comes to doing voiceovers, though, because you've been through so much and you've accomplished so much,
Mhm.
do you find yourself taking multiple takes, or do you find it harder to get into a place to be like, hey, how can I actively capture the horror or the anxiety that I should be feeling here?
So here's the hilarious true story fact. All of the stories that you hear me read, whether it's like Mr. Creepypasta's channel, Chilling, or if it's like a duo on somebody else's channel, or even like something I personally recorded for like my Patreon or something,
Hmm.
um, that is the very first time I've read that story.
Huh.
Yep. I do not pre-read the stories that I am provided. I read them and I react to them authentically as I'm narrating. So, for example, there was a story that I narrated for Chilling, that I don't remember what episode. It was a multi-episode story, but it was it was about a compound outside of this town, like a military compound outside of this town. I'm not going to spoil it, obviously, but an event occurs that I did not see coming, and I was reading as the character. So when this event happens, it triggers this really hardcore emotional response in the character, and you can hear me like trying to like sniff and snort and draw back snot because I'm like I have tears running down my face as I'm trying to narrate this story, and I know that this event has happened, and I like don't know how to process it either. So like some of the time you hear that, that's actually me crying over something because I did not expect it to happen.
No, that's I I like I'm just trying to think of like reading something scripted in multiple takes to get that inflection, to be able to feel that and process that in one take is like kudos to your craft. Like that is uh stellar, to say the least, to be able to do that.
I should clarify the way I do narrations. Is it
Mhm.
normal? Absolutely not.
Oh yeah, of
For
course.
like video games and stuff, like if I'm doing voice acting, I can't tell you what it was, but I did a role for mortuary assistant, for example.
Okay.
And when you are provided lines, you go, "Oh yes, these lines. Okay." You read them, you go, well, I think I'm going to do them this way. You perform them. And for me personally, I do anywhere from 2 to 3 takes as backups as well, just to be super safe. My goal is like as an actor, as a voice actor, as who I am as a person, and like the things that I strive for. If I don't nail it on that first take, like that's my goal. My goal is to nail it every single time, the very first time.
Have you ever done anything like outside of that where you like it, like even if it was like practicing to yourself on the takes, or have you had is there an emotion or a take that gives you the most trouble?
Happiness.
Like
I can
just
be depressed as fuck all day long, man. Like, you ask me to read a comedy line and then be sad about it, like, I can fucking do that. But if you're like, hey, so you're jovial, right? So this character's really happy. I'm like, what? What?
I'm
Like,
dying on the inside. Why are you coming to me with this?
what the fuck? Yeah, no. I mean, jokes aside, like, I do struggle sometimes with certain line deliveries when it's coming from like an emotionally happy place, because that is a very I guess the word is sparse emotion for me. Sparse emotion
Sparse.
for me. Yeah.
Oh. You mask that very well, especially with I said the daily motivation, um, and and just like the positivity, as well as a lot of the messaging that you put out. Um, Definitely would be one that you wouldn't. At least I know I wouldn't pick that. Like, of course, like there's trauma there. Typically, it's like I laugh the loudest, and person who laughs the loudest is generally the person who like you're like, oh, what happened to you? Um,
I guess I guess the big thing is that I don't see my motivations or the way that I present things as being necessarily happy, right? So when I go to do these motivations, I'm not coming from a place of like jovial life experience. I think that happiness happens in moments. And I think to believe anything otherwise, that you have to be constantly happy, is a fucking lie. And you know, if you have someone who genuinely is like, I'm having a good day, I'm really happy for them because they deserve to have that good day. But then life happens, things fall apart around them, stuff starts to crumble, and they're left with these pieces in their hands, and they don't know what to do with these pieces anymore because they've spent so much time assuming that what they were was happy, when in all reality, all they were doing was living moment to moment so that they could embrace those little moments of happiness that they could get until things fell apart again. So when I do the daily motivations, it isn't about grabbing the happiness. It's taking what I've learned from that happiness and from those moments and integrating it into, this is what I try to do to maintain that level of normalcy for what I am as a person, grasp the happiness that I can in the moments that I can, be one with them when I can, and then acknowledge that sometimes you're just fucking sad for no reason, and that existing emotion happens too.
You articulate that incredibly well. I think a lot of people, you're right. It's the happiness that, no, this is my life. Like, my life is a happy life. And then it's trying to weave the happiness in and hold on to it, even though you're going through the times that aren't always the best.
Yeah, listen, anybody who's ever read like Merc with a Mouth would understand. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, there's definitely a lot there with that, with Work with the Mouth. I mean, you can even take Alice in Wonderland and read it for a sign with PTSD, and it's a children's picture book. And I guess where we're going to end this on is because you also do, you'll stream, and sometimes you stream as a VTuber.
Yes.
Is that Wolfhead?
Yes. Well, that's the NB version of Wolfhead. But yes.
So for because I take it traditional lichen is what it's more modeled after.
More or less, yeah. She's kind of a self-designed, so she's like a little bit mixed. An artist, and a phenomenal artist named Dogblood, had actually drawn a version of me as a werewolf, and I fell in love with it. And then I kind of like mashed that version together with another version I was given by a few other artists, and I was like, fuck it, this is what she looks like now. So they were kind of born from that. Human Wolfhead, who is male, actually has black hair and looks a little bit different. But I don't have... I think there's maybe one piece of art of existence of them. But yeah, Wolfhead is that character for me. That's my little avatar.
Now, when you stream, as especially like with the upkeep of I'm sorry, not the upkeep, but the explosion of PNG tubers, VTubers, now being, do you find yourself that you get to be different because you are playing as them? Or is it just like, no, this is a more maybe raw form of yourself?
It's a little bit of both. Like, Wolfhead is their own character who really loves pie, and especially loves the neighbor's trash pie. But I personally don't go digging in the trash, and pie is not my favorite dessert. But some of the sarcasm that comes into Wolfhead is very much just me. Just kind of in its, like you said, in kind of a more raw form.
Trash pie?
Trash pie. Yeah, she loves trash pie. That's their thing.
Like just pie that's in a trash can, or is there actually something else to trash pie?
So the neighbor like throws the pies that aren't any good anymore, like the fillings and the crust and stuff, into the trash can, and Wolfhead, like they just go for the pie in the trash can. But like that's their favorite kind of pie. Like they could have a fresh one sitting on the on the thing cooling, but they'll always go for the trash pie.
I like it.
Nothing beats a good trash pie.
Nothing beats a good trash pie.
Yeah.
And we are sitting at that hour mark, so to go ahead, that way you can go give Balder a walk. He probably so rightly deserves. Where can we find you?
So I am XX AutumnIvy XX under pretty much everything. Just AutumnIvy in general works. direct.me/XX AutumnIvy XX is my primary link to find all of the places that I exist. There are a few video games coming out that I had the pleasure of voice acting in, which includes, of course, The Mortuary Assistant. Check out any of the Dread XP games if you have not yet. There is also a mermaid game, which it's something else, but it's on my page. You can check it out. It is literally Merfight. You fight as me, as an octopus wrestler who's also a doctor. It's pretty amazing. Otherwise, check out Chilling app. That's the primary place you can find me and my narrations, Patreon, and so on.
Fantastic. And winners, as always, you can find us Monday through Friday, Mr. and Mrs. Play, Monday and Wednesday. Right now, Couch Co-op, still on Tuesdays and Thursdays, as well as the podcast here the first Saturday of each month on all of your podcast app of choice. Hey, Alexa, subscribe to Wrong Button Podcast. Remember, you're all winners out there. Keep it weird. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me, Autumn Ivy.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.